a loving father is murdered.
You could see, like, this part of his head was blown off.
His cold-blooded killer is someone close to home.
She looked like she had no soul.
And when he's dead, some say his own house becomes party central, complete with a new stripper pole.
Never a dull moment from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to sleep.
But where is his body? And was money or drugs the motive for murder? Did something else just make this killer snap?
I know exactly why she killed him.
Now family and friends are speaking out for the first time about the father who was murdered and the twisted teen who pulled the trigger. The Howell family of Augusta, Georgia. Michael, a sports editor, mother Christina, and eldest daughter Sierra all agreed youngest daughter Crystal was a Spitfire. How is Crystal as a daughter and raising her?
Crystal, she was a lot of fun. She could be a lot of challenges. She would, if there was trouble to be found, she would find it. Just a lot of mischief.
But soon, the seemingly harmless mischief turned to serious misconduct. Crystal started lying, stealing, and vandalizing other people's property, even setting the neighbor's pool cushion on fire.
But there were very strange things that would happen with her when she was younger that kind of convinced most of the world that knew the Howells that Crystal had some problems.
Eventually, Crystal was put on medication. Michael didn't want her on that medicine, but he allowed it.
He really did not want her to be on it. He thought it changed her personality.
Michael's friend Austin Rhodes said Crystal's parents were deeply divided on this issue.
And he was saying that Christy's way of dealing with Crystal was to medicate her, basically put a theoretical pillow over her face to keep her quiet and to keep her in line, and he just didn't agree with that. He thought it was the cheap and easy way out.
Doctors suggested counseling for Crystal, but Michael said no. He had been bullied as a child for going himself. He didn't want Crystal to be stigmatized.
Correct.
He was constantly at odds with his wife about, the approach they should be taking with Crystal.
After 19 years of marriage, Mike and Christina decided to split, largely due to the disagreements over Crystal and a bombshell confession from Christina. Oldest daughter Sierra wasn't his biological child.
We didn't have a good relationship. He didn't want me around. I wasn't his kid.
It was a life-changing family revelation. Crystal and her dad packed up and moved to picturesque Maggie Valley, North Carolina. And with the large inheritance Michael got from his grandparents, bought an 8-bedroom home on Sheepback Mountain. But despite the beautiful, calm setting, Crystal's issues escalated to hard drugs, frequent shoplifting, self-harm, and running away.
She'd be gone 2-3 weeks at a time sometimes.
Michael confided in his friend about his serious concerns.
He said sometimes it's like she has no conscience. And I said, you mean like a sociopath? And he said, yeah, like that.
A few years later, Crystal met Summer Ramsey and Taylor Metz at an alternative high school, all becoming fast friends.
She was very charismatic, always funny. She was really weird about her feelings. She tried to keep them in and make other people happy.
I was really good in school. I never really had experience with anyone who had like a history of trouble or anything. And when I met Crystal, it was just like, oh, there's like that teenage rebellion I'm supposed to have.
And that so-called rebellion caused Michael to be an even stricter father. Despite that, he and Crystal were exceptionally close.
When I looked at their relationship, that's what I wanted to have.
They were best friends. He loved her, she loved him. Even though he was strict on her, she still adored her father.
But that adoration would soon be annihilated. Reportedly, it was a cold February day when Crystal and her father were out at a local store. He was shopping. She was once again stealing.
And he caught her shoplifting and made her apologize, and they went back home.
Back at home, Crystal took a shower and Mike took a nap. It would be his last one. The next day, Crystal told friends her father went on a business trip to Georgia. She asked to stay at Taylor's house for a couple of weeks until he returned. Then a phone call that Crystal tells her friends has changed everything.
And it was about 2 or 3 days into her being over there when we came home from school and her mom called her. And that was when her mom told her that her dad had killed himself.
She's like crying hysterically and she's trembling and my dad killed himself. What do I do? What do I do? He killed himself.
Summer and Taylor took care of their friend that night. Then a light bulb went off. They made a plan to move into Crystal's house to live with the now fatherless teen.
She was like, yeah, that worked out perfect. And like, everyone was excited.
Is she grieving at all?
I mean, I guess in her own weird Crystal way, she seemed a little bit messed up about it.
But apparently not for long. Reportedly, life for the teens on Sheepback Mountain turned into a never-ending wild party. Crystal even installed a stripper pole in the kitchen. And all the newfound fun was being paid for by Crystal's dad.
She did have his bank card, so she would pay the bills and like the lights and her phone bill and stuff like that. And she would buy everybody food.
Summer says reports of a party house are greatly exaggerated. She claims the stripper pole was just for fun and exercise. And the parties, well, it was just one big party, but that party was a doozy.
There was like 50 people there, more than what we ever wanted.
And friends say Crystal had drugs for everyone.
She brought drugs into the house.
What kind of drugs are we talking?
It was meth.
Summer says Crystal did drugs that night, but during the party, things got strange, and Summer believes someone also slipped her something more potent.
She was acting crazy, she was out of the world, not the Crystal that I know. She was just kind of hallucinating.
There was just kind of like smoke drifting in the air sometimes. And she would see smoke clouds and she would say, oh my gosh, it's my dad.
Summer says she and Taylor took care of strange and dysfunctional Crystal after the party.
She sat in a chair for 2 weeks and did not move.
For 2 solid weeks.
Yes.
Crystal eventually recovered and informed her friends she was going to her mom's and would be back in 6 months. She told her friends they could stay, but while she was away, there was one very important rule in the house. Don't go near the shed.
She just asked us to stay away from it. This is her exact words. That's where me and my dad went to hang out, and that's special to me. So we just kind of stayed away from it.
Coming up,
I just walked in, I looked, and that was all I needed to know.